tools again, which is where everything starts. I'm going to scroll down to the custom attributes. So custom attributes is not new to Ascriptica. It's been around for a while. So if you notice, we added this custom field called SD number, and this was taken. This was a specific use case for one of our customers, and they use this to tie the course to um, an outside system. So they have a number that they create. So I'm just going to edit so you can see the makeup of this course. So it's a text field. So here you can define a field. The Scriptica has a lot of fields in the course. However, we always come across cases when we migrate others that there's some specific field or data point that's needed that we didn't think about or did not collect. So the purpose of this is really to expand Scriptica based on specific use cases that we come across. So here it's of type text, right? It could be multi-line, number, checkbox. It could be any of those. The label is what you'll see, right? Which is called SD number. And this controls whether or not the field is required. So when you're creating a new course, for example, it will ask you, hey, if you did not put the SD number in, it's going to prompt you that this is a required field if you've turned this on. And active just means that if you don't wish to use it anymore, we recommend deactivating, because if you've started putting data in this field and you're running reports, as you'll see in a few minutes, then if you yank it away, if you delete it, then those reports they're not going to work very well. The last one is if you choose to create a default value. So if this is not a good example for a default value, but if you wanted to put a default value there, you could, so that when you're creating those courses, instead of you only change based on the exception, basically. Okay. So let's say, for example, you know, not a good one either. So in this case, we have a selection list, and we have here a default value. We have no tag as the default. If it was text, we could have done the same thing. The only difference is that this is a list versus a text box, but it shows you the power of being able to select a default. So here we've said, hey, we want to create a new field, and it's called SD number. We want it to appear second when we go through the custom fields. So now we've created it, okay? Now let's go to the course manager so we can see this field in action. And we're going to modify this guy. And we're going to go to the custom fields. And notice here, we have the same SD number that we created earlier, and it has a value. So I could have changed it to 2021-02, for example, which I think is the schema that is used. I'm going to do this. So remember, we said it was not required, right? So it shouldn't cry if I click next and leave it blank, which it didn't. Going back, put the number in that we want, click next, and there we are. So now what we've done is to collect this piece of information. So what can you do with this piece of data that you're collecting? So the course has this special number. In addition to our course ID that we use, there's an SD number field that we've now created. Okay. So if I go back to the course manager, I'm going to use my newly created link. I'm going to go to 3098, 3098. And let's go to the course, to the roster. So I don't need to hop all the way back to tools and then get to enrollment. I can just kind of hop around and notice that the breadcrumbs is now following me. It knows that I'm now in the roster. Okay. And so now when I export, so notice that we now have our SD number showing up in the export. So if you're feeding this, for example, to another system, then now you have this information. You don't have to rekey it. You don't have to manage it somewhere else. You can now simply create the course, get it plugged in, and it will now export that information for you. You don't have to do any additional steps. So what we've done is to fuse in the custom fields in the export as well. So notice you can add any other custom field you want. Again, this is also driven by a template behind the scenes. So if you want to change these fields, you can as well. This is all template driven. It does not require additional coding. It doesn't require a new version. This is now completely controlled by you. Okay. So we've also taken it one step further. We've said, okay, well, what if you want to include it on your, let me make sure, yes, on your certificates, right? So if I generate the cert and I say, okay, let's send this to info. And this is SD number demo. And let's see who's the lucky person. Let's get these two guys. And then now I say, okay, send certificates. Boom. Now it's generating. I may have two more surprises for you guys. Let's see how well we do on time. And if I go to info, demo, and let's open this guy. And voila. So now you can also include the custom fields on your certificate as well. So if you wanted to add some special field and you wanted to show on your certificate, you can do it. Any custom field, again, I added all of these. Just to take a really quick moment without getting too geeky on you guys here. Let me show you this file just a bit. So this is what the preview would look like. Here's what the code behind the scenes would look like. And notice that all we did, if you know HTML, it's pretty simple, right? It's pretty easy. You add the header here, all right, which is in this row. TR just means table row. And you add, here's SD number, and I added text provided. I could have easily just done SD number. And I said, okay, here's the data in the row that falls below that I want to include. Completely customizable. Completely up to you to determine how you want that to work. All right.